Hey crew, how you doing? Another coach interview, and we've got Casey Harty here. Casey's been on the platform for quite a long time now, really, Casey. And I think you've been prolific both with it, in person and online. And we were just having a really quick chat then about some of your struggles with the remote stuff, like of how to actually do it properly, or not even do it properly, but not be overwhelmed with it. Like
Yeah.
you were like, you're super popular. Like I think if you opened it up to anyone you would just be as busy as you possibly wanted to be. And anyone that's watching, go and have a look at Casey's stuff on socials because he's super technical, has worked with some of the best coaches in the world. But you found it really overwhelming and had to actually pump the brakes on it, to use your term. Do you want to actually, even before we get into that, let's just quickly chat about you, right? Let's have a chat about you and your history and sort of where you are with your coaching at the moment. Tell everyone about yourself, Casey. Like you're based in Dallas at the moment, and
Yep.
particularly who you've worked with, and then how your coaching's going.
Yeah, sure. So just like a quick rundown on my background. 33 years old, living in Dallas, been playing for 29 years. Started playing professionally in 2016, and about a year, maybe a little less than a year after that, I started working with George Gankis in person as a player.
Mm.
Um, COVID came around and tournaments got shut down, and obviously I couldn't make any money with that happening. And George just asked me one day, he's like, "Why aren't you teaching?"
Mm.
And next thing you know, I was like, well, I guess, yeah. I mean, let me try to make a little bit of money doing that. And that's where I started just like answering more questions on social media. And then somewhere along the line, you and I got connected and you asked me to teach on if I would be interested in teaching on Skillest. And I took off with it. And what you were saying earlier about just kind of becoming overwhelmed with the online space. I think a lot
Yeah.
of that was because I needed the money. I
Yeah.
opened up the floodgates as much as I could. Um, I remember one year for Christmas, I did like a giveaway on social media where all I asked someone to do was like, I think I asked people to send me like their favorite Christmas memory with their family, and then I'd give them a free lesson. And I said, hey, I'm gonna do this for like 5 to 10 people, like the first 5 or 10 people to do it. I ended up getting like 150 responses, and I
Wow.
gave every one of them a free lesson.
Oh my God.
And my goal, of course, was to try to convert and give people a way to see what I can do for them, and then convert to sales and convert more lessons. And then yeah, just got completely overwhelmed. I mean, it was a great experience. Don't get me wrong,
Mm.
but I don't think that really fit in with the way I like to do online lessons.
Yep.
Uh, so, for example, we were briefly talking about this before, but when I advertise personalized lessons, literally every single lesson is personalized. So I don't use one bit of pre-recorded content, even for simple stuff like talking about setup or alignment type of things. The only pre-recorded piece of content that anybody gets from me on online lessons is how to record your swing, just like how to set up your camera and all that. And so what ends up happening is when people send me their swing videos, I may go, 12, 15, 20 minutes just on the analysis.
Mm.
And then next thing you know, I'm spending another 15, 20, sometimes even 25 minutes in the lesson itself. So they're getting like a 45-minute lesson back. And then on top of that, I'm offering, a 15 to 20 minute like Zoom call follow up to be able to have discussion and answer their questions. And that model of online lesson for me just got really overwhelming really quickly.
Totally.
And it's a lesson that I've learned not only about maybe the structure of how to better do online lessons, but also just my own teaching in general, right? Golf is really complex, and sometimes I think players are better served not going into so much detail. And
Mm.
so, since having that realization, I think it's actually made my online lessons quite a bit quite a bit more enjoyable, I think, for me and my players, which is nice.
It's one of those really difficult things as a coach, right? And you've like been coaching full time for not an incredibly long period of time either, right? You've got obviously you were learning while you were, playing professionally, and you've got all this knowledge base on the game, but actually coaching people, it's only been what, sort of 5, 6 years or something like that. So
Yeah.
the challenge is always, right? I'm an old bastard, right? Like I've been around for 25 years and, coaching for 25 years. And my coach, and my mentors have been coaching for 60 years, like believe it or not, right? So, and the funny thing is, the older you get, the less you generally have to say a lot of the time. Now, it's not because you maybe even understand it better, it's just because you also grow in confidence, if that makes sense,
Yep.
right? So, as you get more confident, you realize that you don't need to tell everyone everything you know, or you don't need to feel like you're giving incredible value. And I think that's something that you do, probably Casey, right? Is that you're always feeling like every single time, you get some swings, you're like, I have to go into so much depth. I have to give them so much value, and you want to make them better. That's the thing as well, right?
Of course.
Is that you get probably in that trap as a little bit. And the problem also with that, right? So you've got these multiple things that are happening, right? Which you want to provide value, you want to show them what you know, you want to really give them the 5-star treatment, do all those things. But then you've also got like this issue where you almost take the in-person experience and put it online, which is like usually I have someone for an hour and I try and give them an hour of information. And when you take that online, it is overwhelming, right? Because often you're
Yep.
charging less online, but you still feel like you're supposed to be doing the same sort of thing. But the thing with online is that you got to look at it completely differently, right? You want to be
Yep.
ideally, especially if you've got someone subscribed to you, you want to take advantage of the medium, right? So, or the platform. And taking advantage of it means that if someone comes to see you in person, you're probably not going to see them for 3 weeks. So you often feel like you've got to give them lots of information. Well, the great thing with remote, all you need to do is give the person what they need right now, or the very next
Yep.
thing that they need to work on. Because guess what? If they're subscribed in particular, you can speak to them the next day, right? And just give them another little bit of information. I think that's what the coaches and this is once you start ramping yours back up, which is something that you can do whenever you want because of your popularity. I've got no doubt that like once you figure out how to actually use the medium, right? How do I just like be really time efficient? Like you probably should be able to move through 4 or 5 people in an hour and not have like one person for an hour sort of thing. And that's
Yeah.
that's going to be your challenge is that, oh, I know I want to give this person more information and they probably might need more information, but like I'm just going to give them this bit that they can, chip away at and then we move forward, which is leveraging the medium, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what you were talking about relative to the concern of value
Mm,
versus information, that was absolutely a huge concern for me because part of managing, I'll say like the supply and demand on my end was how do I structure a price to a point where it's not going to destroy myself. It's also not going to destroy the player. But with the price point that I kind of came to, it kind of requires a point of value. Otherwise, it's not worth it. You
mm.
know what I mean? And so like that even still continues to be a real big challenge for me in the online space. And it's look, it's a constant game of learning, whether I'm a player or I'm a coach. And
Mm.
that's a whole different topic of what I'm teaching, why I'm teaching it, who I'm learning from, the expansions that I'm running into relative to other methodologies and other options and other tools to put in the toolbox to help players differently. And it's just it's been an awesome experience for me in general. So
Yeah, no, I mean this is why, it's great having you on the platform because you care so much. Like, there's all of us feel like we care, but I think some coaches care to varying degrees. But like this is probably one of your not your problems, it's a gift, right? But like when you
oh,
care,
it's a problem too.
yeah, is that you just you feel like you need to be giving someone 120% every single time. And you can do that, right? It's sort of just a misperception, I suppose, right? Just because if you just give someone like a little bit of information they can go and work with, right? That can feel like you're not providing value. But in the long run, and we've seen, believe it or not, the coaches that do that actually have better retention a lot of the time because they just give students something that they can work with. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing you've always got to remember, right? Is that can someone consume the information you're giving them and have something really clear and actionable that they're working on next, right? Really. So sometimes in our, desire to provide value, we can overwhelm as well. That's the thing. And I'm not saying you were
Yep.
doing that, but I've done that in the past. I've had so many students come back to me and say, "All right, so everything's just wrong, right? Everything's just wrong." You get that feedback because they feel like, Oh, right. All you've done is sort of breaking down their golf swing and like giving them lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. Whereas they just need, even if they just feel like one thing's wrong that they can chip away at and it's really achievable, that is just such a huge part of retention, believe it or not.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I have absolutely been guilty of providing like too many things for
Mm.
someone to work on at once. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that like, hey, if I start giving someone more than like two things that they can kind of chew on for the next week or two as they move forward, then I'm just plain and simple doing too much. I'm
Totally.
I'm definitely doing too much. Now there's a difference of it's like, hey, okay, let's adjust ball position. You know, that to me is like, all right, that's an easy thing that shouldn't be overwhelming for anybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
but like, oh yeah, we gotta fix your setup. We gotta fix your grip. We gotta fix your arm structure. We gotta do
Yeah.
this, the other thing. It's like, oh, well, pump the freaking brakes because changing grip is like one of the hardest things to do, in my opinion.
Totally. That's exactly right. Yeah, look, I think like as an example, my mentor, right, who's now 84 and still coaching, believe it or not, he gets people in for like 2 hours. It's hilarious. And like he'll chat to them for like 3 minutes, he'll watch them hit some balls, he'll give them a drill, and then he'll go work at that for 20 minutes and he'll go over into the corner with the vacuum cleaner and he'll be vacuuming and like whereas, 30, 40 years ago, he was probably like, no, 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 and would just smash people nonstop. But it's like, no, just work at that for a little bit. And then he comes back after half an hour and, they're still chipping away. Yeah, that's good. Let me make you a coffee and like they have a chat about it. They get some video up and some, obviously club and ball data and a little bit of this. And then he disappears literally for like another half an hour and comes back. And, that's over time you build confidence, you know what's right for people, and you just don't care. Not that you don't care, but you don't care about feeling like you're not providing value because you know that this is the best way for them to learn anyway, if that makes sense. So it's all
Yep.
part of the evolution of learning the game. And just really quickly, mate, before you go, you've sort of you're going through an evolution at the moment with your coaching and like talk to us about how you think about learning from other coaches and discovery and how all that stuff works for you.
I think it's important to learn from other coaches.
Mm,
I just do. And I think had you asked me that question probably 6 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was like really in the midst of finally really feeling out what I was doing with George,
mm,
I probably would have had a different opinion.
mm,
And that's not about him. That's completely about me.
mm,
Um, but I think as I started to teach, even though I don't only teach and didn't only teach what I learned from George, um, it became clear that there are multiple other ways to get it done in a good
mm,
way.
mm,
Um, and so, for example, and I'm not trying to name drop people, but um, Liam Robinson ended up following me on Instagram probably like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
cool.
Saw that he was on DP, and I was like, oh, sick, follow him back. And then I started to see that he was doing some teaching, and I started listening to what he had to say. Same with like Bradley Hughes. I mean, I could go on and on about other like high level coaches that I pay very close attention to. But Liam ran something on one of his stories talking about how he was going to be in the States, and I reached out. And to be
Mm,
honest with you, throughout that, I spent all day with him.
mm,
He didn't hit a whole lot of balls, to be honest with you. We hit a lot of towels and a lot of wedge shots, and then we went and played 9 holes. And it was one of the best lessons I ever got, not only as a player but also as a coach.
mm,
Uh, I've implemented some of it with some of my players, and the results are there. And
mm,
so, in a way, as a coach, I want to learn from other people who have either been teaching for quite a bit longer than I have, or who have success with players at higher levels than I have, or have different ways of communicating that I might be able to utilize. Like just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I'm also not learning as much as possible whenever possible.
mm. That's awesome, mate. No, it's you're on a great trajectory, I'd say, Casey. Like you just care so
Thank
much. You're very, very thoughtful, and you love working at your own game as well. And I think
you. Yeah.
yeah, I think you're really cool. I'd love to sort of finish with this as well. like you're great with content as well. Like so everyone out there, you got to go and follow Casey on Insta. And do you do much on TikTok or anything like that, or like?
I've posted a few times on
Yeah,
TikTok. Recently I haven't been posting a ton on Instagram, but that's in the works and
yeah,
hope to get into YouTube here pretty soon. The content is there. I'll be honest with you, I struggle nowadays with content
yeah,
because it's so saturated.
yeah, yeah, totally.
It gets to a point where it's like, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you
Mm,
also not just be this repetitive robot? And
mm,
when it comes to working on my game, like I'm always happy to share what I'm working on in my
yeah.
game. At the end of the day, like I actually had a player the other day that was we got out on the course and he asked me why I'm still working on my game because he thinks my swing is sick or whatever.
Mm,
And I told him, look, like the day I stop working on my own game is the day I stop teaching.
yeah,
Like I cannot with good
totally.
content teach someone a game that I don't work on myself. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
make any.
And you're often like, I think the thing about that, because I'm the same. Like yesterday, I ducked out before a massive storm came through. I just went and hit 30 balls, and I still love thinking about my motion and just chipping away at
Yeah.
it. No, I'm not actually I am working towards something. We've got the Dubai Pro Am, the Skillest Dubai Pro Am
Ooh.
in February, which I do want to play relatively well at. So I'm working towards that. But generally, I'm just like I'm not working towards anything. I'm working towards my growth and my self-education and working at your own game is just so good for that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Cool, mate. Well, that was really fascinating, mate. You're a fascinating guy. Everyone out there, I'm sure, mate, as you reached out to Liam, I'm sure that anyone out there would you'd be happy if anyone reached out to you for any advice or collaboration or whatever it might be. So yeah, so everyone just hit Casey up on socials and mate, until next time, we'll chat soon.
all right, man. Thank you, Baden. Appreciate you.